Hello, Jeff Owen here again, and I want you to try this at home. I'd like you to try it anyway, if you're up for it. This video really is about spontaneity and the structure of spontaneity. You probably didn't know there was a structure of spontaneity. I can barely say it. Well, there is, and it's a very simple thing. It's acceptance. Acceptance. See how I made a mistake then in my word? It doesn't matter because I accept it. I'm being human. I'm not trying to get things perfect and right. In fact, there's a wonderful thing. Before I go on to acceptance, I'll just share this. This has just come to me, and this is what I'd like you to try and explore to help build your confidence. Just get in front of a camera and just start talking, and let yourself make mistakes and trip up. Just let yourself and bear it, and don't correct yourself and go back to the beginning. Just let it settle and pick it up again, and get used to connecting with your thoughts and your ideas and your inspirations, and letting your body and your voice do the rest, rather than the other way of deciding what it is you're going to say word for word and then repeating those words from memory and then messing up accordingly, because that's what happens. So before I talk about acceptance, and which is the structure of spontaneity, I just had a thought to share with you this idea of paradoxical intention. I'll say it again, paradoxical intention. It's a technique that was used and developed by a psychiatrist who wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. His name is Viktor Frankl. You may have read the book or know about the book. But he was unfortunate to be in Auschwitz. I think it was Auschwitz, but certainly a concentration camp. And he became very curious with his relationship with his day-to-day living, the possibility of death on a daily basis, of annihilation, of not knowing, of just being helpless. And he was very interested in creating a meaning out of that for his life, for himself, to explore how that can improve that experience. So really, it was all about creating meaning. Anyway, long story short, he survives that and creates a therapy which is called logotherapy. I mean, what I'm advocating is nothing to do with therapy. This is just an idea along the way. My work isn't therapy at all. So just make that clear. Anyway, he had this idea of meaning therapy, which he called logotherapy. And one of the exercises he came up with, because he was very curious about what is pathological, mental health, when people had problems mentally and therefore emotionally, or even the other way around, he would look at whether the idea of pathological, is there a pathology to mental illness? And on a number of occasions he felt where some of his clients were maybe deemed to have a pathological mental illness, he just felt it wasn't pathological at all. Anyway, he came up with this idea of paradoxical intention was by having a client who sweated profusely. He just sweated, and he was a dentist, and this was really hampering his work. He just felt so anxious about sweating, so much, that he found he just couldn't work because of his sweating. He was embarrassed, he was leaning across his clients, he didn't want to offend his clients. Anyway, having had a conversation with Victor, he said to the man, really what you're anxious about isn't the sweating, you're anxious about sweating. So he invited the dentist to consciously want to sweat. So his main objective when he went into his surgery, into his practice, was to make sure that he sweated as much as he possibly could. And guess what? He stopped sweating. Because the sweat was, his anxiety was creating the sweat. It wasn't the sweat that was creating the anxiety in the end. And there is a few other examples in the book. And why I mentioned that was because if I try to mess up, or if I accept the fact that I might mess up and make some mistakes and forget what I'm going to say, strangely enough, my messing up doesn't really happen so often. If I deliberately try to be bad, make mistakes, say lots of times if you like, whatever it is I choose to focus on, the more I focus on it, I seem to not do it so much. So get in front of a camera, like I am now, and explore this relationship with just speaking. Because what I find is a lot of you don't really talk out loud about what you do or what you feel strongly about. You don't talk about it. You might in conversation with people, but I'm talking about as if you are just on your own and you allow yourself to connect with your highest feelings and thoughts around what it is you do, and let yourself express yourself the way you express yourself. And you can do this. You could do this by going into a room. I really recommend going into a room and making sure that you're not going to be disturbed. Because what that does, if you know someone may come in, that's going to kind of create a self-censorship, because you won't want the embarrassment of being discovered talking out loud. Would be one scenario, but there may be many. So make sure you're not going to be disturbed. You can even go into a park or in the countryside, in the open air, and speak out loud. You can do it in your car. And just get used to speaking. And you know, the benefits of that are wonderful, because you get used to your voice. You start to be able to start choosing what you want to talk about, and really connecting with what you're talking about and letting your imagination take it wherever you want. And the more you get used to that experience, it stands to reason, I think, when you finally do come to make a video or get up in front of an audience to talk about what it is you do, you will be able to do it more readily, because what's happened is you've desensitized yourself against the anxiety of not knowing whether you're going to be able to do that or not. So you get a step closer to being able to rely on yourself and to be more spontaneous. And all you have to do is accept everything that comes out of your mouth, whether it's a mispronunciation, whether it's getting your words back to front, whether you're going off topic. If you're going off topic, just stop and reconnect. Just enjoy the space that this will give you to explore your relationship with what it is you're wanting to convey. And that will really boost your confidence. So I had this little interlude, didn't I, about paradoxical intention. Why I mentioned that is you can try, if you feel you just can't utter a word for fear of sounding foolish or for fear of making a mistake, deliberately try to be foolish. Try to say foolish things. Just do it. You know, try it. Explore. You know, explore. So spontaneity then, the structure is acceptance. Just practice accepting, and you can do this in various areas of your life, but just for now, I'll come on to that in another video probably, but this just for now, just get your laptop, get the camera, stick it on your lap, look at the camera and just let yourself speak. Or be in a room, go in the countryside or in the car. The thing about being on camera is it creates a bit of fear. So maybe you want to practice in a room first or in the countryside or in a car or wherever it is, and then eventually come to do it in front of a video camera and switch on the record button, because there's going to be that anticipation and that anxiety of the uncertainty or not, of whether you're going to be able to do it or not, but also if you do it and you want to publish it, whether what you're going to publish is going to be good enough. That's going to throw up a lot of fear in response to the uncertainty, and it's good to build a relationship with that, and that will help you. I'll leave it there. Maybe I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for coming by.